We host a lot of friends and family, but never had a good space outside for food and drinks. So I decided to build an outdoor bar slash countertop, mostly from recycled materials, and it's been a game changer. Here's how I made it. The first thing I did was measure out the space and cut my lumber down to size. Since this is going outside, I wanted all of the lumber to be pressure treated, but my hardware store doesn't sell anything smaller than 2x4s and pressure treated, so I had to rip down a couple of boards here. Next, I used my Craig pocket hole jig to pre-drill everything. This makes assembly go a lot quicker and also keeps the finished project looking real clean with all of the screws hidden. Clamps are a must. They're like a third hand holding everything in place while I drive in all of these screws, and straight up without them this bar would have gotten out of whack fast. After making the 2 sets of legs, I moved outside for the rest of assembly since this would have gotten pretty heavy to move around towards the end of the build. But with all of the pocket holes pre-drilled, this part went together pretty quickly.
Alright, so just got a few more pieces to attach here, so we're just going to snap that together. Alright, on to the next step.
I've never installed wood floors before, but all of those YouTube shorts I've watched on how to do so finally paid off. I had some leftover faux wood floor tiling from a friend that I had already tested in another build. They're pretty water resistant, if not fully waterproof, so I decided to use them for the countertop. They slide together real nicely, and I just had to do a few minor cuts here and there with a jigsaw to get a tight fit. Before putting on the countertop pieces, I added these back slats using a 1-inch spacer between each for some quick and consistent spacing.
Now this wouldn't be woodworking without some sanding. I'm going to go ahead and clean this off real quick.
With the wood sanded to 120 grit and the surface cleaned, it was time to start applying some outdoor rated deck stain.
This is going to take a minute, so we're going to go ahead and snap. Alright, so coat 1 done. It honestly doesn't really need 2 coats because this is already pressure treated wood, but just to be safe, I'm going to do a second coat on just the areas that I know will be especially exposed to the elements.
This is already pressure treated wood, so 2 coats of deck stain may be overkill, but I always like to add extra finish on anything going outdoors to help it last a lot longer. Finally, it was time to attach the countertops using some liquid nails, and since these boards locked together, this part was honestly a breeze. Once I had everything secure, I just touched up the edges with some stain one last time, and then this bar was ready for some action.